Welcome back to the Penn GSE podcast, where we bring you perspectives on education and social science from the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. I'm Tom Ketchkamethy. Today on the podcast...
So we think that little mouse can actually chew all that rope and set the lion free?
No. Yes.
So some of you think yes, some of you think no.
Yes. Turn the page.
Turn the page. Let's see.
We're going to discover what's really going on when kindergartners sit down for a storybook read-aloud. But we're also going to find out why read-alouds might just be essential to our strength as a democracy.
Yeah.
What happened?
He let him free.
Stay tuned. Remember kindergarten? You'd be on the floor with all the other kids, and the teacher would read to you. She'd sit there in her chair, hold up a book like Little Red Riding Hood, and ask,
"What do you think this story is going to be about?"
This is one of our professors, Lawrence Sipe, who studies young kids and how they engage with literature. He was observing a North Philly classroom when this very scene began to unfold. He was fully expecting the kids to say, "Oh, we know this one. It's about a girl and her grandma and a wolf." There was a little of that. But then this one boy stood up.
The child said, with a big grin on his face, "Well, probably she read and she write a lot and she live in the hood." I remember looking at the teacher, both our eyes going really wide and thinking, wow, what does this mean? And then, oh, this is actually a triple pun.
Young children can have surprisingly complex responses to literature. It's a topic that Lawrence has been studying for 15 years. He goes into kindergarten, first, and second grade classrooms and records and analyzes read-alouds.
So I'm after grand conversations instead of a gentle inquisition.
Gentle inquisition means the teacher asks questions to which she already knows the answer, like who saved Red Riding Hood?
These questions are rather boring and may tell you something about whether the children remember details of the story, but it doesn't tell you much about their literary understanding and their literary knowledge.
To get at kids' literary understanding of picture books, teachers have to ask questions that will get kids to predict and interpret, like, what do you think will happen next? What do you notice? What do you see?
What do you see?
We followed Lawrence on one of his visits to a group of 5- and 6-year-olds at the Lee School, a public elementary school in Philadelphia.
Now we're going to take a look inside, and we're going to look at the end pages.
That day, the teacher, Natalia Mikachuk, was reading The Lion and the Mouse, a picture book illustrated by Jerry Pinkney.
The only words in this book are sounds. For example, the sound of the lion's roar. It's an Aesop's fable.
And as with any fable, The Lion and the Mouse has a moral.
And the moral for The Lion and the Mouse is, of course, size does not matter. A weak and small animal can help a strong, ferocious animal.
As adults, this lesson is obvious to us. 5-year-olds don't quite get this yet. But Lawrence says what they do take away from the story is still sophisticated.
For example, very early on, children have the idea that this takes place in Africa.
I think they're in Africa.
They may not know the word setting,
Because they have giraffes.
but they confirm their hypotheses about this setting at the very end of the book.
Let's see what happens at the end. What do you think might happen at the end?
I love the idea of the prediction that at the end of the book there might be a heart
See a heart.
in the illustration.
What would the heart mean?
The heart means that they love you.
So this child knows
Yeah, that's
the symbol of a heart, but he's also making use of it in his thinking.
So what do you think the lion is?
And one child said at the end of the story, the lion's going back to his family like the mouse did to hers. This is an extremely sophisticated parallelism. Some incident happens and it's paralleled by another incident. It happens all the time in stories, and this child knows how stories work and is able to actually articulate it.
This approach of asking questions with no expected or easy answers, of allowing children to explore meaning for themselves, is not being used in most classrooms in the United States. Instead, the focus tends to be on getting kids to be able to sound out words.
And this, of course, is important. But I suggest that if that's all we do, we're not giving children any reason to read.
Lawrence says getting kindergartners excited about reading is about more than getting them promoted to first grade, or about being able to one day read at their job. It's about something much, much bigger.
Thomas Jefferson famously said that democracy would not work unless we had a literate population.
In other words, to have a functioning democracy, we have to learn to not take words at face value. We have to be able to critique and question them.
Literature and good reading of that literature gives us the chance to imagine how society could be different, be more just, be more equitable. It's the way we make sense of life. And I don't see any other more powerful tool than literature to achieve that goal.
Lawrence Sipe's book, Storytime, gives a detailed account of his research on young children's literary understanding in the classroom. Thanks to teachers Natalia Mikachuk and Fern McCluskey for staying after school when a blizzard was brewing to read The Lion and the Mouse. And very special thanks to Sair, Zaire, Vanak, Navian, Sol, and Bailey for their energetic and insightful responses to the book. And to Ann Kreidel, who helped set up our school visit.
So what's the end? Is it that they're never going to see each other again, or what?
No.
So they're what?
Friends.
Oh, maybe they're a family, because they're sticking together.
The Penn GSE podcast is a production of the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education and is produced by Hilary Frank. Trevor DeClerc wrote our theme music. I'm Tom Ketchkamethy. To learn more about this project and others, go to gse.upenn.edu.